Iran has unleashed the Sejjil ballistic missile against Israel for the very first time in this raging conflict. This is no ordinary rocket. It's one of the deadliest pieces in Iran's entire arsenal, saved specifically for the final all-out escalation phase. They nicknamed it the dancing missile, and not because it looks flashy, but because of the absolute nightmare it creates for any missile defense system trying to stop it. Back in last summer's clashes, even a single Sejjil Warhead fragment slipped through the arrows system and slammed into Israeli territory. Now it's returning in full force at the absolute worst possible moment for Israel. On Sunday, March 15th, during the massive 54th wave of Operation True Promise 4, sirens screamed across more than 140 different spots in Israel, from Tel Aviv all the way to Harasia and the southern suburbs. Missile debris actually struck a residential building housing the U.S. consulate staff in Jerusalem. And this monster weapon made its debut less than 24 hours after American officials leaked that Israel is critically running out of the exact interceptors built to handle threats like this. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to break down exactly why the SEAL is so insanely difficult to detect and destroy. And you'll quickly understand why the Israeli government rushed through an emergency $826 million defense spending approval on the very same night their own military publicly claimed there was no shortage. Here's everything we know right now. The Sejjil is not your typical ballistic missile. It's a medium-range, completely solid-fueled two-stage beast that Iran designed, tested, and built entirely on its own soil with zero outside help, and here's why that matters more than ever. Most people picture a ballistic missile as something that flies in one predictable giant arc, easy for modern shields to track and knock down. The SEAL laughs at that idea. Its warhead carries a highly maneuverable re-entry vehicle as it screams down at speeds faster than Mach 5. It doesn't follow a straight line at all. It constantly jinks, swerves, and changes direction in unpredictable ways. That's exactly why they call it the dancing missile. A normal interceptor like the Arrow system tries to calculate exactly where the warhead will land and sends a kill vehicle straight to that spot. But when the target keeps shifting every single fraction of a second, those calculations completely fall apart. The only real option left is to fire multiple interceptors in a shotgun spread, and pray one actually hits that burns through expensive stockpiles at lightning speed. And we're going to come back to why this exact problem is about to become Israel's biggest nightmare in this entire war. There's another deadly advantage. The SEAL runs on solid fuel, which means it's fully ready on mobile truck launchers and can blast off in just minutes. No giant fueling trucks, no long countdowns visible to satellites, nothing. Iran has openly stated that a SEAL fired from Natanz can slam into Tel even under 7 minutes, flat from the moment the engines ignite. And because these things launch from moving trucks instead of fixed bases, they survive even when entire military facilities get wiped out. The coalition has already smashed over 7,600 targets inside Iran since February 28th. The SEAL doesn't need any of those bases. Iranian engineers also reportedly covered the entire missile in special radar-absorbent materials, shrinking its radar signature dramatically that makes it far harder to spot on screens. Tougher to track during descent and almost impossible to kill in time. This creates a brutal double-layered nightmare. Detection and interception both get wrecked at the exact same time. Israel's A3 system built to hit threats outside the atmosphere with hit-to-kill tech relies on pinpoint tracking data. A smaller radar cross-section slashes the detection window and gives almost no time to react. The A2, which handles threats inside the atmosphere, faces the same problem, now made even worse by that active maneuvering right at the end of the flight path. Uzi Rugan, the former head of Israel's ballistic missile defense program, has pointed out that the Sejjil looks more uniquely Iranian than many of their earlier systems. Still, open-source experts believe some foreign help in the overall program is very likely. Development started way back in the late 1990s. First test flight came in 2008, followed by another in 2009. It showed up again during the Great Prophet 15 military exercise in 2021, where analysts spotted possible upgraded guidance systems. What we can say for sure is that the SIL today is far more mature, accurate, and deadly than when it first appeared. What we cannot confirm publicly is whether the exact missiles used in this current war carry a fully integrated GPS plus inertial navigation package. That detail hasn't been officially established yet. Reports about an even longer-range SJ-3 version also remain unverified. Stick with me here because the timing of this weapon's debut crashes straight into a second crisis that makes everything 10 times worse. On Saturday, March 14th, the American outlets MFOR dropped a bombshell report based on unnamed U.S. officials. Israel had quietly told Washington it is now critically low on ballistic missile interceptors, critically low. Israel already entered this war short on Aero-class interceptors after burning through huge numbers. During the June 2025 fighting, the United States alone fired more than 150 THAAD interceptors in that 12-day flare-up. According to CSIS analysis, the current war's pace is shattering that previous record. 16 straight days of non-stop bombardment across 54 waves have pushed the entire system right to the edge of collapse. One U.S. official described the situation to Semaphore as something we expected and anticipated. Anticipated. Those aren't words of shock, they're the words of a government that saw the problem coming and decided not to fix it before the next war exploded. The same official made it crystal clear that America itself is not facing any shortage. We have all that we need to protect our bases and our personnel in the region. And our interests. Notice something missing in that sentence? Not one single mention of helping Israel's defense needs. The Pentagon started ramping up that production back in January and has been moving Patriot batteries from places as far as South Korea to guard Gulf bases. America's air defense priorities are focused inward. The IDF hit back fast. An Israeli military spokesperson insisted. At this stage, there is no shortage of interceptors, and added that forces were fully prepared for a long fight. That denial came just hours after the Semaphore report. On the surface, it sounds strong until you look at what happened the very same night. In a late-night phone vote on Saturday, the Israeli government approved an emergency transfer of 2.66 billion shekels. Roughly $826 million to the Defense Ministry for urgent and essential procurement. That's not how a country with plenty of stockpiles behaves. That's a government writing emergency checks at midnight because the situation is desperate. Now, layer in what the dancing missile does to this math. Each Hero 3 interceptor costs several $1 million and takes serious time to replace. Production lines simply aren't built for wartime surge levels. The Pentagon only started expanding BAD output in January, right before the war kicked off. A single maneuverable warhead that forces multiple interceptor shots per incoming missile doesn't just strain the stockpile, it completely destroys the cost-exchange ratio. Iran launches once a guile. Israel has to burn 2, 3, or more interceptors trying to stop it. Multiply that by dozens of missiles every single day, and the deficit grows faster than any factory can ever catch up. Even in the best-case scenario, the numbers simply don't add up, and it gets even uglier. CNN has confirmed Iran is now fitting many of its ballistic missiles with cluster munitions. Israeli officials say roughly half the recent projectiles carried these warheads, each one releasing 22-24 deadly bomblets. Once those bomblets spread out, systems like Iron Dome aren't designed to sweep up every single piece. The Associated Press reported at least 3 deaths already from these weapons, including 2 at a construction site in central Israel. Across the whole war so far, 12 people have been killed by ballistic missile strikes. So here's the terrifying picture coming together. Israel's high-altitude interceptors are under extreme pressure. Iran's newest weapon is built specifically to multiply that pressure by demanding far more shots per attack. And half the incoming missiles now scatter smaller munitions, even if the main body gets taken out. 3 brutal layers of stress hitting a defense system that was already running low when the first wave began. Look at the massive contradiction between what both sides are claiming. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stated on March 13 that Iran's entire ballistic missile production capacity has been functionally defeated. The IDF boasts over 7,600 strikes inside Iran since February 28, plus 1,100 in Lebanon. The Hanger Organization for Human Rights reported on March 14 that at least 4,900 people have died in the first 14 days, including 4,420 Iranian military personnel and 480 civilians. Iran's air defenses, according to Hegseth, no longer exist. That's an insane amount of destruction. Yet Iran's response, 54 waves and counting, including the first combat use of its most advanced homegrown missile, a weapon that requires precision solid fuel manufacturing, complex guidance systems, and advanced maneuverable re-entry vehicle technology. If production was truly functionally defeated, This weapon shouldn't even be appearing on the battlefield right now to possible explanations. Either the assessment was too optimistic and Iran still has hidden manufacturing or launch capacity the coalition hasn't found, or the SIL is coming straight out of pre-war stockpiles, meaning Iran is now dipping into its strategic reserves. Iran started this war with an estimated 2,500 ballistic missiles of all ranges. The SEAL was deliberately held back for the first 53 waves. That was a clear strategic choice. Whether that shows patience or desperation depends on how many are still sitting in storage, and nobody has published that number on the Israeli side. Defense Minister Israel Katz called the conflict on March 14 a decisive stage. He promised Iran would face strong, unyielding, and uncompromising steel-like resolve. The message is pure confidence and momentum. Iran's message is the total opposite. President Masoud Pezeshkian called the retaliation for the assassination a duty and a legitimate right. Iran's top foreign policy advisor told CNN that 9 to 219 minutes 21 seconds. Tehran sees zero path to diplomacy. The URG has sworn to go after Netanyahu. Both governments are projecting total victory and unbreakable will. Both cannot be right at the same time. The evidence simply doesn't line up perfectly with either story. Meanwhile, the fallout is spreading fast. Oil traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has been disrupted. Maersk has suspended sailings. Shipping insurers are refusing cover Gulf routes. An Emirates flight was forced to turn back to Kochi after drone strikes shut down airports near Dubai. Energy markets are going crazy. This war is no longer contained inside the countries. It's reshaping global risk and prices in real time. The original plan from Washington and Tel Aviv was simple: total air dominance. Destroy the ability to fire back and force a political collapse. The reality, a nation taking catastrophic hits to its fixed bases, yet still launching from hidden mobile platforms using solid fuel missiles that don't need the bombed facilities at all. Israel's defense plan was layered protection arrow for long range, David sling for medium, Iron Dome for rockets. The reality, a stockpile being shredded by a warhead specifically engineered to break the math of layered defenses, plus cluster munitions raining down below the interception line. The dancing missile is now in the sky. And the question neither side has dared answer out loud is this: how many more waves can this war survive before the numbers run out completely? Thanks for watching all the way through. I really appreciate every single one of you. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Who do you think is actually winning this war? Do you believe things are spiraling out of control? Let me know below. If you want to stay ahead of every major update like this one, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Click the next video popping up on your screen for more right now. I'll see you in the next one, and stay safe out there. UN sounds alarm on rising Islamophobia world. Well,